Well, what's happening, racing fans? Welcome back to the channel, brought to you in association with betting.co.uk. I'm Ginger Joe, and I'm back with a very special episode of the Countdown to Cheltenham series. Because as you will see, I'm not only joined by my usual wingman, Joe from JM Racing, but I've got three very special guests with me today as well. And I'm just going to go around them one by one so they can introduce themselves. You know this man already. Jamie Wren, how you doing, my friend?
Hi Joe, how are you? Thanks for having me. I suppose to introduce myself, I suppose you might know me from Dave Chelmental channel and from Alex Galpin, the real boss man channel of the Cheltenham Exchange.
Oh, there
And
we go.
oh yeah. So thanks for having me, Joe, and hopefully we'll have a better boom than Cocoa Beach.
Absolutely. Oh, get that one in there nice and early, didn't he, as well? But awesome.
Someone didn't get the 100 to 1. That's all I'm going to say.
It doesn't matter. He's 101 to be in the car park.
Oh, fight talking. We're not even talking about the national yet. But right, moving on to the next man then. We've been very luckily given permission by Bossman Ian to have Alex Galpin on the show from the Cheltenham Exchange. Alex, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Ian said you had to start off with like a low-ranking member of the Cheltenham Exchange first, which is why I'm here. And if it goes well, then you can be upgraded to maybe Johnny or Matty. But it'll be a while till you get to Ian himself.
You're definitely not going to be one to let me down, though, Alex. I've seen you before. I know how it goes down with you.
I'll do the best.
And then we've got Scotty, Sizing Ruds, as you'll know, on Twitter, making his debut appearance on the Ginger Joe Racing Show as well. Scotty, how you doing, man?
Cheers, Joe. Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having us. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what the boys have got. My debut along with the other Joe and Jungle Boogie Jamie, so looking forward to it.
Awesome stuff. And then finally, I got my wingman, Joe, fresh from a trip from Abu Dhabi, a man of luxury, back in the real world. How's things, Joe?
Yes, very good, thank you. Been joined by a few people this time. You've thrown the right party for reaching 1,000 subscribers. So hopefully we'll pick a few winners on the way, and it should be a good laugh.
We've got less than 3 weeks now until Cheltenham, and definitely looking forward to getting stuck in. So thank you all for joining me. What we're going to do today, we are going to get stuck straight, and we're going to look at the 4 big races at the Cheltenham Festival, starting off with the Champion Hurdle, then the Champion Chase, the Stayers, and then finally the Gold Cup. We're just going to have a bit of an open talk and an overview about the 4 races. Then at the end, they're going to come back to the guys and get a selection each from them to combine into a lucky 15. Now, Constitution Hill does throw a little bit of a spanner in the works being such a short price. So if the boys want to, I have given them the opportunity to change the selection one to replace it for potentially their bet at the festival. But we're going to get stuck straight in. Day 1 of the Cheltenham Festival, we've got the Champion Hurdle. The current betting, we've got Constitution Hill at 1 to 3, State Man at 11 to 4, Vauban at 10 to 1. I like to move it at 20 to 1. And pretty much any price you like for the remainder. And it may not take too long to get around this one, but Jamie Wren, is Constitution Hill the beast that we think he is?
I think so. He is Dave. I'm calling. No, that's very bad. That's definitely a cue. Ginger Joe. Sorry, sorry, Ginger. It's so used to saying that, but no, on all seriousness, yeah, he's an absolute certainty. There's nothing going to beat him. I suppose Stateman will probably go out in front, try to catch him in the hop that Paul Townend is trying to think he's a good jockey, which he's not. To see if he can take this thing out of Constitution. It won't matter. Constitution will take it up 2 out, and that's in. I did actually have a bet, but I didn't get the 33 to 1 each way that was said on In the Know. I'm not copying In the Know, by the way. I did have 2 bets on. I like to move it normally at 25 to 1 each way, and I backed it at 9 to 1 non-runner no bet without Constitution Hill each way. That was a little tad for small few quid for a bit of crack in the race. But after that, I've been very disappointed with Vauban. I thought he's a good horse, but maybe he might be next year's horse. I think this horse is probably going to be campaigned in the flat, and obviously that Rich Richie really wants to win the Melbourne Cup, so early anti-post selection for the Melbourne Cup of Vauban. But it's very poor this year, Joe. It's just how good he is. Like, that's the problem. I suppose if it was an ordinary Stateman, wouldn't be odds on, but would be about 5 to 4, 6 to 4. He'd probably get 7 to 4 on the day Stateman to win it. But the field size would be 4, 5, 6, 7 runners. That's about it, and it'll just win, really, won't it?
Okay, cool. So demolition job for Constitution Hill from Jamie. Alex, have you got a different view at all, or is it pretty straightforward for Nicky and Nico?
Yeah, I think the same as Jamie. I think it's going to be a bit of a bit of a procession, really. Constitution Hill looked really good in his first 2 runs this season. He had Epatante way behind. She's then gone and franked the form by absolutely hacking up in her next race when she didn't have to face him. She's going to win the Mares Hurdle. He'll win this. Nick's going to have a nice day on the first day of the festival, I think.
Does that mean John Bond's going to be included? Is that going to be a treble?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The boss
Very
man will be
good.
happy.
Exactly. Don't want to upset the boss man, do we?
I've got to keep Ian happy, haven't I? Rayman.
Rayman.
Guy, anything unusual in the race here for the Champion Hurdle, or is it going to be pretty much straight across the board? Constitution Hill?
Yeah, State Man, Vauban, I like to move it. And then you're going down after them. I think you'll have First Street might run, and I think potentially Zanna here could run, unless he's half dead, which he could be. So 5 runners. I think Sharjah will go on top weight county hurdle Arctic Fire, potentially to get something better handicapped in for Willie. He might have something there. I think I was adamant State Man would win the Irish Champion Hurdle. I thought Honeysuckle was gone. I don't think she'll win the Mares Hurdle, but that's irrelevant to this race. Constitution Hill just wins. He's, for me, the 2 best performances I've ever seen at the Cheltenham Festival in my time is Votor, for a novice chaser, was Votor in a JLT and Constitution Hill last year. If he gets beat in this race, I will give up the game. If he jumps, he wins. Nothing will touch him. It's a 12-15 length job on the snaff. State Man finishes second, and I like to move it. Will finish third. And I think what Jamie said, I agreed with the boys on that show the other day, and I like to move it each way without the favourite now. Take the 3 places because he will be in the frame. That's the first 3, and it's as simple as that.
Clean up job straight away. Joe, anything else to add, or is it again straight across the board, Constitution Hill?
Yeah, I think Constitution Hill definitely wins, but I don't think State Man will even finish second because Paul Townend has to try and win. Like, Willie Mullins and the Donnellys aren't in the game to just admit finishing second. State Man's going to have to serve it up to Constitution Hill, and that only means one thing: he's going to be spat out the back. Because one horse has tried beating Constitution Hill before, and that was Dysat Dynamo, who fell, and John Bon, who served it up to Constitution Hill and was beaten 20 lengths. So I can see State Man finishing a tired horse. Vauban will be ridden for the place, and Vauban is 11-4 in the without Constitution Hill market. I think that's a big price because he's just going to be ridden to pick up the pieces, or even if you want to back him at 10-1 each way, he's definitely going to finish in the top 3. I think it's pretty much Constitution Hill, Vauban, State Man. Maybe I like to move it, but I think he's probably exposed as a top-end handicapper, maybe a grade 3 or grade 2 horse. So I think Vauban, for a betting purpose, isn't a bad shout at 10-1.
I mean, Joe put him up, anyone who watched our channel last year, put him up at a whopping price last year before he went and bolted up in the Triumph. So no surprise to see a little bit of loyalty there. But James, just going back to you, how close do you think I Like to Move It can get to Constitution Hill then in this sort of race? He was really impressive in the Kingwell, and it's easy for us to forget just because he's a British horse, but he did put the others to bed quite decisively, and he's going to be running on up that hill. How far is he going to get within Constitution Hill? People want the numbers thing.
He'd be lucky to get in 20 lengths of him.
Mm.
He'll stay on, but he'll be jumping the last, and Constitution, Nick will be waving at the crowd. Is that 20 lengths from the line to the last hurdle?
Yeah,
Ish. 20-25 lengths. Yeah, no. He'll stay on, maybe pass as State Man, yeah, and finish second.
I tell you something, Lou. If I like to move it, runs a good race, get on Gin Coco for the county hurdle.
Correct.
Yeah, he won.
Greatwood hurdle form could be good.
Yeah,
The only thing with Gin Coco, I actually backed Gin Coco in the Greatwood because my father said this horse can't be beaten in the Greatwood, and I was like, a friend of mine who knows nothing about horses, and I said, what do you like in this? And he said, I think that I like to move it and win the thing. I said, what are you thinking? Because of the song. Stop, leave me alone. But no, Gin Coco, we backed it, but I was worried about the finishing effort, Scotty. Like, it looked like it was going to beat I Like to Move It easily, like, and this is tame effort up the hill. That's my only worry about it. Remember, this extra furlong in the county as well.
I think that there's a lot of hurdles omitted in that Greatwood.
Yeah, I suppose.
Could come into play as well. So you never know.
Yeah.
I just want him to win so everyone can go mental when they start playing the song in the parade. Right, well, we'll keep that one nice and short then. Looks like Constitution Hill across the board. I don't see any way of getting him beat. Obviously, we just need to see how he reacts when he's got a decent horse up against him. Potentially, we didn't see Epatante on a very good day when he actually put her to bed. but I still don't think there's anything that's going to be stopping him in this race, particularly tactically. I just don't really see how he gets beat. But let's go on to day 2 then, guys, the Champion Chase. First of all, we'll start with taking a look at the betting. We've got Energumene at 13-8, starting to receive a little bit of support again. Edwardstone at 15-8, Editor de GITE at 6-1 after winning the Clarence House. We've got Gentleman de Me at 10s, Nubinegra at 25-1, and any price you like for the remainder. And this time we're going to start with Scotty. Tell us what goes on here then, Scotty.
The Champion Chase.
Yes.
I've thought about this race for the last few weeks and I can't really get my head around it. I still cannot pick the winner. I think Energumene, I think the old course will suit him a lot better than the last day. That's the first point I'd make. I'd also say it will suit Edwardstone. I know he was ridden way off the pace. I think it's harder to come. I think at the Stayers Hurdle, when I think of the new course, a lot of horses don't come from real far back on that old course, on that new course, sorry. And when races, and Edwardstone tried to do it last time, and he just gave Editor de GITE too much rope. I think Edwardstone is probably the most likely winner. If he put the gun to my head, I'd probably say he'll win. I think Energumene's regressing. He's getting older. And I think last year he missed his Novice Chase campaign, and I think we forgot that. We didn't see him in the article. So when he turned up last year, it was like he was a young, fresh horse. I think a year older, I'd be willing to oppose him at 13-8. I think he is Energumene. So I'd be taking him on. Jamie, I think Jamie's going to slate me for
Oh no.
this, but my main selection in the race has been Gentleman to Me since Aintree, but I was just so unforgiving with him. He's one of those lunatic horses. He either goes and he bolts up, or he just thinks sod this and he blows up. He doesn't want to know. I think out of him and Editor de GITE, I think Gentleman to Me is probably the most talented horse out of the two. But if I was really, really looking and just saying, it's hard to say. I think Editor de GITE, from the handicap October in Cheltenham, how can he go and win the next 2 races like he's won at Kempton and in that Grade 1? I don't know. Has he improved that much, or is everything else just shite compared to him around him at the moment? So for me, I think the most talented horse in the race could potentially be Gentleman to Me, aside from Energumene, and he's got the fresher legs. I'd just take a chance at 10s. I backed him anti-post at 12s. I'm happy with that. I won't be getting involved in the race, but again, it's another race where I think if the ground comes down and we get a Wednesday like last year, I'll probably end up backing Fernando Savola each way, just because of the ground. It could be one of those races I'll wait till the day and see what the ground's doing. But I'm on Editor de GITE and Gentleman to Me.
Deliberations, Scotty. Stay off deliberations.
I'd rather be on them at the price than Energumene. But like I said, Edwardstone's probably the most likely winner, but at the price is Gentleman to Me and Editor de GITE coupled. That's what I did.
It did start to look like a bit of a 50-50 race until Editor de GITE won, obviously, the Clarence House as well. But the problem with the front two at the moment is, like, Edwardstone's been beaten now 3 out of the last 4 times. And if Energumene's going to go off in front again at the Champion Chase, and surely that brings Edwardstone's credentials bang back into this race as well. Personally, for me, Gentleman to Me is way too fragile for a Champion Chase. Don't see this happening whatsoever, but who knows? I've been plenty wrong in this Champion Chase plenty of times. I'm starting to come around to Editor de GITE, though. Sometimes a horse that goes forward and wins a race, he loves Cheltenham. He's going to bounce around there. It's one of his favourite tracks, and he will be hard to fault. He's one of these horses that doesn't make too many mistakes. If Edwardstone hits one fence, he's not sitting back on the bridle like Energumene. And if Energumene goes off in front, I think this may just well set up for Editor de GITE. And he's not one I've been on at all until now. So it's not like I've been backing him since he was 33-1 for the race. But with a race that may now start to fall apart a little bit, I think I might take a chance on Gary Moore's runner. Of course, they've won it before with Sire de Gruge. It would just be a huge day for the Moore team. They could get this one under their belt as well. Alex, which camp are you in for the Champion Chase at the moment?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Edwardstone. I think the problem on trials day was I think he was just a little bit too far back. I think him and Energumene, it was almost like they were sort of too worried about each other. They let Editor de GITE get too far in front. Edwardstone used far too much of that old petrol getting back level with him, and just didn't have as much as he normally would going up the hill. I know that he obviously lost to Gentleman to Me, didn't he, at Aintree last year, but that was his 7th race of the season. He'd obviously had a very busy campaign. I think he was just over the top a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to side with Edwardstone. I sided with him all year last year. I've sided with him all year this year. He's going to win the Champion Chase, and I think he's still a nice backable price.
GSI. If you want him at much bigger than what we can see on paper at the moment, then are you, Alex?
Yeah, I had a little bet on him at 16s before the season started. Not expecting him to win, but just because I thought if I don't back him and he does do well, I'd be disappointed. It wasn't like oh, he's definitely going to go for that race and do well. It was more of a, I have to do it because I'd won some money on him from the previous year, and I just thought, why not? It's only a tenner or something.
Loyalty is key. Joe, who do you fancy in the champion chase?
I think Editor the GITE has a great chance, and he's one of them horses, probably like Florian Porter. He just gets the softest lead in front. He jumps well and he wins, and it's annoying when you're not on him and he wins. So simply for that reason, I think I'll have to have a little bit of a go at 6-1. I think Energumene. I think when Willie Mullins is blaming the fences as being white as the reason he got beat, I think he's kind of clutching at straws there. If I was him, I'd just send Paul Townend out in front because his jumping is probably his best part of his game. And Energumene, if he laid it up with Editeur de GITE, then I think one of them two would probably run well in the race. But I just think if he's held up again, he's going to make a few mistakes. He looks almost like a claustrophobic horse. He didn't like jumping behind horses. For me, Editeur de GITE, he'll probably go clear out in front, and he's probably going to stay there. He's probably a decent enough each way bet at this point.
He's going to get his own way as well. He's going to bomb out in front, pop the fences. I don't think Energumene's going to enjoy it at all with Editeur de GITE out there at all. Jamie, you seem pretty keen on one in the champion chase as well. Are you in the same camp as our Alex?
I'm with Galopin de Champ right there. Yeah. Definitely, I'm with Edwardstone all year. I didn't get 16s. I got 9s, I think. It was the best price I got, Alex, I think, at the time I put him in some bet. I have a theory about this race, and it's just in my head. It'll be a 2-2 thing for me. If it rains and it bog rains, it's going to be between Energumene and Editeur de GITE. And looking like at the long range forecast, I think there's pick of rain in Cheltenham for the next couple of weeks, and they're going to be turning on the taps. So that means it's between, that's the way, it's between Gentleman de Me, who prefers better ground, and you saw that in Leopardstown because I was there and it was rattling goodish ground for Ireland ground at the DRF. It's between Gentleman de Me and Edwardstone. And then the second theory I have about the race is that Gentleman de Me is a front runner, Editeur de GITE's a front runner, and Energumene's a front runner.
So first four.
The first 3 are all front, and they'll just set it up for Edwardstone. And Edwardstone is used to going from his handicap hurdle days, going fast, and will sit behind him. Now, Tom Cannon won't make a stupid mistake like he did the last day in the Clarence House, leaving 5-6 lengths behind Energumene, just tracking him. He'll have him up with the pace this time, like he did in the Arc last year. When he jumps to the last, no one will go near him, and he'll win. Yeah, and because of the ground and hopefully the way the ground is staying at this present moment, I think he's a fucking absolute good thing.
Oh, he has to be.
Can I just throw something in there? If it's okay, yeah. What Alex said was actually, he was spot on, and Jamie's just said it as well. Giving too much ground the last day, both Energumene and Edwardstone to Editeur de GITE. It reminded me exactly of the 2012 champion hurdle when McCoy and Ruby, or Hurricane Flying Binocular, was sitting there and they just totally underestimated Rock on Ruby and Overtone. Mm-hmm. And you can't horses that stay further that ground in any race, let alone a 2-mile race. So definitely this time they won't be out the back that far. It was just bad riding last time.
You can't leave him too far back in the champion chase, not on the big day, can he? And if he's got the pace and he's jumping well, they're going to fall off him anyway if he's good enough. God, it's going to be a weapon of a race. Can't wait for this one at all. Well, we'll move swiftly on then. We'll come back to that one. Actually, in fact, any love for Nube Negra? Anyone at all? Next
question.
Next question. Okay, on to the stairs hurdle next. And then we've got Blazing Carl, James, at 11-4.
I think he might go there.
We got TEAHUPOO at 7-2. Home by the Lee at 11-2. Marie's Rock at 11-2. Florian Porter at 7s. The Francois Raider. Gold Tweet at 9-1. And then any price you like for the rest. Joe, kick us off. What do you fancy here at the moment?
I think TEAHUPOO was very impressive at Gorham Park. I was kind of questioning would he stay the 3 miles. Them questions were firmly put to bed. It was soft enough ground, and they didn't go the strongest pace of all time, but the way he quickened, especially after the last, I think not many horses can do that. He's got the speed of a 2.5 miler, but I think he'll stay this trip. And I think there's a lot has been made of Blazing Carl's comeback. I think he would have had to do what he did. And I think TEAHUPOO would have won that race by even further. So I'm not sure by that angle. And I think the bounce is a big factor because Blazing Carl has got a few weeks before Cheltenham. He came back from a long break, and you usually see horses underperforming the second time out. I think TEAHUPOO, this has probably been the long range target for this horse, and I think he's just going to win it.
Go back to Jane then quickly then, just on Blazing Carl, Jane, what do you think after his recent run? Does it bother you that it's so close to Cheltenham? Or now the fact that Charles Burns said, oh, he's not sure how good he is until the race, and now he's come out and done that. Does that bring you more confidence, or are you a bit worried that it's so close to Cheltenham?
Give yourself one piece of advice, Joe.
Okay.
Don't believe a word that comes out of Charles Burns'
Yeah,
mouth.
that's true. Yeah, that's very true. All right.
He trains about an hour and a bit away from me. I wouldn't believe a word what he said. This thing when he's on antibiotics, don't take no notice of it.
No, okay.
He's a master of mind games. He's the best at it. And he doesn't even have to say a word and he's doing mind games. So, look, I was with Joe for ages. I have a good bet with my father. We have a good bet on TEAHUPOO 20-1 for the stairs. My father's all over him. He keeps saying this TEAHUPOO will win. And I was with him all year. But now I'm starting to change my mind. And it's probably a stupid thing to do. I suppose the one horse I can't have is Home by the Lee. Because the fact of the matter is that because his tracks are so wide in Ireland, he's been racing away from everybody. And you can see the shoot in the stairs hurdle when they start eyeballing each other. Nah, he'll spit out the dummy up the hill. Classical Dream, I don't understand anyone tipping that horse. Watched the race back last year. It does not stay. End of. Florian Porter doesn't look the same horse. I suppose I really like Blazing Cal, but the one I really like, and if it did run here, I can't see any of these horses giving £7 to Marie's Rock. And I'm hoping Marie's Rock runs here because then I have a different selection for the Maze Hurdle then, like, you know, but see, at the moment, if you put a gun to my head, I love to see Blazing Cal win because it'd be a great training performance. But after that, I think there's no horse in this field that give Marie's Rock £7. And I have a 14-1 slip on Marie's Rock on this race, and hopefully she'll run here.
I feel that £7 as well over 3 miles is exaggerated as well. It's massive, isn't it? And there's been a little bit more money for her this week too. So I think the suggestion is that she's going to be going this way. Now, I was the opposite to you, James. I really liked Home by the Lee. I like the fact he just comes off the pace a little bit, but I don't know if that's just the fact that I saw him stretching away at the end and it's the visual behind him. But like yourself as well, I think if Marie's Rock comes here with that £7, that's just massive, man. For an improver who's done absolutely nothing wrong. There's question marks about pretty much all these. I know TEAHUPOO stayed. I know Home by the Lee is getting a little bit better, but there's still questions to ask. Got Florian Porter and Classical Dream, like you said as well. Jane, but Marie's Rock, she's a bit of a diamond coming forward at the moment. Lovely turn of foot, a nice big mare as well. She looks like she's going to stay. I think they've got to get her in this championship race, haven't they? Alex, where's your brain at with the stairs at the moment?
To be honest, I can't really say much more than what you guys have already said about Marie's Rock. I mean, that's the horse that I think is going to win the race. I think it would take a hell of a gelding to give her £7 to win. The only concern is whether she actually goes in the race.
Yeah.
I think if the ground's good or good to soft, I think she'll end up in here. But I think if we get a lot of rain, get soft or heavy ground, I think she'll go in the mares, and I think we'll see Epperton in the champion hurdle. But it's non-runner no bet, so I'll be happy to get stuck in.
Where does Boss Mannion think Marie's Rock's going at the moment? I haven't actually asked him. Has he said where he thinks he's going?
I think he's still a 50-50.
Is he? Is that because he's got money on both?
Probably, yeah.
Scotty, what we got then? Stairs hurdle.
I'm going to throw one of my interesting facts in. I'll try and get one for every show I come on.
Do it.
No, you have to run in the stairs hurdle for the first time to win it, unless you've already won it, like Big Bucks or Florian Porter. And I made a absolute schoolboy error this season. It was something I really never ever do, and that's back a horse that's ran in the race. And I totally forgot he ran in it last year, and that's Home by the Lee, who finished 6th. The last horse to have ran in the race, not won it the first time, and then gone and won it was Iris's Gift, and that goes back to 2004 when he ran in 2003. So the stats are totally against Home by the Lee. I think he's an improved horse this year, but I've gone off him a bit. I agree everything the lads have said. Marie's Rock is an absolute certainty to be in the frame if she gets to £7. I want her to run here. I've got her covered for both and the mares as well. I think the biggest danger is probably Blazing Carl, but again, I think beating Gelino Bello and Saint Sam, is that real good form going back to his novice hurdle and open company? I don't know. He's still pretty unexposed, and I wouldn't be surprised if he bolted up, but I just think that it's Marie's Rock for me if she runs, if she turns up. But TEAHUPOO has got no chance in this race, I don't think. I think he's the most underpriced horse, or whatever you call it, shortest priced horse at the festival. He should be about 6 or 7s. I think they went an absolute joke of a pace in that last day at the Galmoy. I think he just looked visually impressive because they went so slow. Somerville Boy was in that race, and he's got a Zimmer frame, for Christ's sake. Do you know what I mean? I could have beat Somerville Boy. I mean, I understand what Joe M said there. I just think TEAHUPOO will need an absolute bog for it as well. And he's not guaranteed to stay 3 miles. He stayed 3 miles, was it 3 miles in the Galmoy? But I mean, they went no pace. He just looked visually impressive because they went no pace. I'm totally against him. I've gone off home by the lead. I think Marie's Rock, if she runs here, would definitely be the one for me.
Bit of a full house with her at the moment, isn't it? And she is a bit of a superstar. It's almost going under the radar a little bit as well. Coming up that hill, she isn't going away, is she? You're not going to see her falling off this pack, are you? God, get her in there, man. Honestly, she needs to be in that stayers. Right, let's move on to the Gold Cup. Galopin de Champs, 13-8. We've got Noble Yates of 15-2, 8-1 for Aplutard, 8-1 for Brave Man's Game, 8-1 for Statler, 12-1 for Ahoy Senor, 12-1 for Conflate. Looks like he is going here. Then we've got Protector at 16-1. Let's go with Joe. Give us a bit of a breakdown of what's going to happen in the Gold Cup.
Yeah, well, starting with a favourite Galopin de Champs, I don't think he's going to win. I think he's kind of been shoehorned into a stayer, which the best part of him is ball jumping from the front. I think he'd be a certainty in the Ryanair, even against Shishkin. He's that good. And he's just kind of been ridden to settle and to jump well in behind. He didn't jump great in his last 2 starts. He's just jumping economical. And if Fury Road didn't make that mistake at the last, I think Fury Road would have been taking Galopin de Champs all the way up to the line. I think Galopin de Champs was the best horse over 3 miles, but an extra 2 furlongs, you've got proven stayers in here, and he's going to be jumping in behind horses again. I think if I was Connections, I'd just go out in front, jump well, and say, catch me if you can, and he'll probably go and win. But the way he's going to be ridden probably won't suit him, and I don't think he'll win.
Okay, interesting. Who do you think does win at this point then, Joe?
Well, I think it is going to be AHOY Senor, who I have put up at 50-1 before, and I think he's been written off this season. He always gets better as the season goes on. No one thought he'd beat Protector and Noble Yates, who were put 9 and 10-1 shots earlier in the year for the Grand National. He beat them both comfortably, and if his jumping doesn't fall apart, which it probably will on the day, I think he'd have every chance at 12-1.
It's just so sketchy though, isn't he? Like, do you really want to part with your money? Alex, what do you think, man?
Well, I think it's quite funny, really, that a lot of people before the season were saying the main problem with Galopin de Champs was that he doesn't settle into his races. He does way too much during his races, doesn't he? And he sort of always runs with sort of the petrol cap off. But in his the most recent race this year, it was the Irish Gold Cup, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He settled lovely, didn't he? He just sort of sat in there. He was completely switched off. And I think he has been taught how to settle, which people didn't think was going to happen. And now people are now crabbing him and saying that he didn't look as good as he did. Well, it's because he was taught how to just not bowl off in front and just ping every fence like he used to. So I think he's an absolute certainty. I think the rest of the horses in this race are well below his level. I just can't see anything beating him up this hill. I mean, Aplutard, how can you back him personally? I mean, after what he did when he came over to England, I can't have AHOY Senor. I still think he's a bit of a pig. And Noble Yates he's a handicapper who's got the top of the handicap and can't win another Grand National really off that way. So, well, what's really there to beat him?
Do you think he'll end up odds on the day?
No.
No, you don't. No
chance.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they keep coming out with all these big comments that he's going to win the race, or if the race cuts up, he could do. But I think he'll come in from where he is now, but maybe not go odds on.
Okay, interesting. James, you in the same boat with the favourite here? GSI with Alex?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I saw for myself in the flesh. Really, Joe's the only way you can really judge it, and exactly what Alex says. He got him to settle, and like you see the 2 fences down the side and Leopard's on the right hand side. He got to the second one of them before pulling him up, and we were like, "Where the fuck is he going?" Do you know what I mean? And he was like, Shh, right. I suppose you crib now who I fancy each way for the Gold Cup at this present moment in time, and I'm just only going with the ground. I'll go through it. Was it Noble Yates? Is absolutely no chance. Won't get. He'll be staying on, but he'll be staying on too fucking late. Number one. Braveman's Game, no chance. Absolutely, God give me. People think that horse win the Gold Cup. He's one gear and one gear only. Statler won't win either because people are falling into the trap that a National Hunt Chaser winner doesn't go on to win the Gold Cup. Look at Galvin last year. Everyone tipped Galvin. Who else is in it? Oh my God. Oh yeah, Plutard. I suppose that's the chance you take. Like my thing with the Plutard is if it's slow, it has a chance. If they go rattling fast in the Gold Cup, a Plutard has no chance to be left behind.
Yeah,
Protectorate doesn't stay. So I'm down to Horsted. It was a sneaky one for me, and I really fancy Conflated in this each way. And I think the better the ground, the better his chance. And he's been forgotten about, and that's what I like. And he's my horse, but I still think Galopin Des Champs will win. But if Galopin Des Champs has an off day or falls or doesn't stay, I really like Conflated, and he will be my bet. I think he's still 12 to 1 each way.
12 to 1,
Yeah. So it'll be Conflated for me each way against Galopin Des Champs.
Yeah, I think that's a great shot as well, 12 to 1, actually. Well, they were thinking about going to the Ryanair, but the way he won in Ireland was just ridiculous. That turn of foot as well will be deadly. Yeah. He travels like a good staying chaser as well. He jumps very good. There's actually not a lot to not like about his chances, is there really? Apart from the fact that we potentially got one that just oozes pure class at the front of the market with Galopin Des Champs. But this is horse racing. They've got a jump to win. We've seen what happened with him before at Cheltenham. We've seen a few rope ones from him. So there's definitely a horse that can come from the back. I'd be with you, James. I actually really like Conflated as well. I think he's going to stay on very nicely. I am coming around to Galopin Des Champs, but I just try and find myself a little bit of value. 13 to 8 for a Gold Cup contender to me. 3 mile 2 chase isn't something I want to get involved in. I would give a little bit more of a mention, though, to Statler. I think he'll stay really nicely. And he actually stayed on very, very well last time out. A little bit more eye-catchingly than what I thought met the eye, based on us just looking at Galopin Des Champs, who I do obviously think is a weapon. But I take a little bit of a chance on Statler. I had previously put up Noble Yates anti-post. I might as well chuck that slip in the bin. I don't fancy him for a bean either. So for me as well, Galopin Des Champs or Conflated. Scotty, what goes down? Have you got a final say for us here?
I'm going to have to stop agreeing with Jamie Wren. It's just scary how we're so much in sync.
Jungle,
like your brother.
I'm getting worried. Yeah, Conflated is definitely the one that I'm interested in. I'm on at 12, 14s, 16s. I want everyone to raise their hands. Who's the better horse? If you think Fury Road is better than Conflated, put your hand up. Who thinks Conflated's a better horse than Fury Road?
Wow.
Why did he not put him in the Irish Gold Cup? Do you think he stuck Fury Road in there as a marker just to see how he was against Galopin Des Champs?
100%.
He wasn't beaten that far, Fury Road. Conflated's a way better horse. I think he's got a massive chance. I think the running styles are pretty similar. He's made all before. And at the prices, I would definitely be on him each way against the Fav. The Fav did something that I didn't think he was going to do at the Dublin Racing Festival, and he was brilliant. He jumped through that last, and I thought, same as most people, he's going to get past and swallowed up, but he just went away. And that's definitely a big plus for the Gold Cup. So Galopin is probably the most likely winner, but Conflated is a big price. I agree again with Jay and what most of the lads said. I think Plutard, you can't have him after the Betfair Chase. We haven't seen him. Don't know if he's even alive. Noble Yates is no good. Gone off him. Statler, again, I fancied him all season, but I've gone off him. Braveman's Game is not a Cheltenham horse. Protectorate needs heavy ground, and he doesn't stay the 3 mile 2.5. The one that I'm not going to mention Manila Endo because I think he's too old, but I do respect him. Hewick, again, another one. He's just a handicapper. He's no good. Sounds Russian is the one that I like at a big price to potentially run into a place. I think he's improved since his first run at entry of the season, and I think he's got some of the best form in the UK this year, like behind AHOY SENOR. Wasn't beaten that far, but the one form line that I like is finishing second to Inter Overdrive in the Roland Merrick at Weatherby. And Inter Overdrive almost beat Long Presse. I mean, Long Presse gave bags of weight away, but that's still good form. And I think Inter Overdrive, watch him in the Ultima, I think he'll go a Fav. And if he wins that, I'd definitely be interested in Sounds Russian just on that form line alone. So I'd Galopin Des Champs to win and Conflated and Sounds Russian to fill the places.
Bit of a dark horse there, Scott. I can't really see it with Sounds Russian personally, but I do like Inter Overdrive for that Ultima. He's been on my radar a little bit, to be honest, as well. All right, boys. Okay. So that's the 4 races wrapped up. We're going to go around now and get a selection from everyone, and then I will reveal the lucky 15s that we've got at the end of the show. And I'm going to replace I'll go first. I'll replace my champion hurdle selection. And it's going to be my baby, Marine Nationale, the bold supreme by 10 lengths on the snap. Turn around that hill, Fatal Vega, and everyone go back. Marine Nationale is going to be my first selection for the Lucky 15. Next, we are going to go to Jamie Wren.
Yeah, I will replace my selection with Constitution Hill, and I will go for Gaelic Warrior in the Ballymore.
Okay, Gaelic Warrior in the Bally. Go on in, Scotty boy.
Oh no, Jamie, mine's in the Ballymore as well.
Is it Gaelic Warrior?
Hermes Allen,
Oh,
Ranker.
no.
Brilliant. The Challow curse is going to be broken this year, just like Mike Bike broke the Feltham curse. All aboard, Hermes Allen.
Galopin de Champ.
I will also replace Constitution Hill, but I'll put up SHANBALLY KID for the Bartlett.
Oh,
That's a dark one right there
It's a
for
curveball.
everyone's wanting to know.
you get 100, Alex, yeah?
Yeah.
I got 50s, yeah.
Right.
I got 50s, yeah.
You're on at 150 for Shambhala.
Yeah.
Right,
Form
thanks
is
for letting me
confirmed.
know.
Form is confirmed last day. He beat Monty Starr in Devon.
Jeez, thanks for sharing the wealth, guys. Joe didn't tell me about Coco until he bolted up. So,
SHANBALLY.
and then Joe boy, what have you got as your first selection then?
I'm going to keep with Vauban as my selection, but I'll lock my nap as well. TEKAO in the Boodles at 9-2. I think it wasn't even Mark Walsh just completely didn't try the last time. He didn't even try cover. He kind of ranged upside. He probably could have finished within 5 or 6 lengths of the winner. Probably would have been quite close to Lossiemouth, and he's got a handicap off a mark of 128. So that is Gaelic Warrior-esque, but he can jump in a straight line. So I think he's just going to go and win the Boodles.
We're all up at the stand, Joe, watching the race, right? No one gave a shit about what Lossiemouth or Gallimore, so we all just turned around and we said, the cause a certainty for the Boodles. We didn't touch him. And we didn't have the binoculars out or that. We're like, certainty.
Everybody literally called that he was going to finish third in that race. It was just like the most predictable thing.
He's there, he just went like that with his hands. It was like, oh, yes. Good man, Mark.
Oh, I didn't realise the line had come so soon. All right, cool. Right, let's go on to the champion chase. I'm going to put up Editor de Gite. I just think there's a little bit of value there. Struggling to sort of determine how I think the race is quite going to pan out. Editor de Gite, just a ball off in front, use that jump in, give himself a really good chance coming the home turn. Jane, what about you in the champion chase then? Who's going with Gaelic Warrior?
Edwardstone.
Edwardstone. Oh, that was nice and quick and nice and easy. Scotty.
I'm going to go for Editor de Gite, just ahead of Gentleman to me, because I think he's slightly better form this year. Editor de Gite.
2 English horses so far for Scotty. Alex.
Edwardstone as well for me, please.
Eddie boy. And Joe.
Editor de Gite for me as well.
Editor de Gite. Wow, 3 selections. I didn't actually expect that one. I thought I might be alone. Right then, the stayers. Marie's Rock, non-runner, no bet, I guess, but I'll be really frustrated. In fact, I'll stick with Marie's Rock, non-runner, no bet, but I will be frustrated if you get a non-runner and a lucky. It just drives me crazy. But if you're in the bookies, make sure you write non-runner back favourite, because at least you'll get the favourite regardless of what happens there with a non-runner money back selection. Alex, who have you got in the stayers then for us?
Firstly, Joe, I just want to say thanks for agreeing to put us all £100 a line, lucky 15 for us each. We're all very grateful to you. For the stayers hurdle, I'll go with Marie's Rock.
Marie's Rock as well. That was courtesy of boss man Ian from the Cheltenham Exchange, actually. Alex.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And the £100 lucky 15 you're putting on is courtesy of the Ginger Joe Racing Show.
Something like that. I'm not sure. We'll talk about it after. Joe, who do you fancy in the stairs?
Sorry?
Joe, who do you fancy?
I'm going to go with the anti-po selection you actually put up in the stayers hurdle, TEAHUPOO.
Okay.
And he's a bit shorter now, but I think he's got everything. The question mark is whether he will stay. I think he will do. And yeah, I think he's about a 7-2 shot. So I'll have a play.
Okay, perfect. And then finally, we're going to go around to the Gold Cup. I'm slightly stealing Jamie's selection here because that 12-1 and conflated is seriously valuable now after Looking at
Yeah.
that, what's not to like, to be honest with you. 12th and conflated, and then on to you next, Jamie.
Conflated, yeah, for me, yeah.
Conflated. Okay, Scotty.
Conflated.
Conflated.
Jesus.
Computer.
I thought you were going to have a home run of home horses then. Alex?
Well, the best horse ridden by the shittest jockey for the best turner is Galopin des Champs.
Perfect. And then Joe, finish us off. I know who yours is.
Yeah, you may as well write it down. It's very much heart over head, but ahoy, senor. You've got to stick with him.
Ahoy there.
Awesome stuff.
All aboard.
On aboard.
Right then, so I'm just going to read out the lucky 15s then, okay? And I'll pop them in the description below in case you missed them as well. So mine's going to be obviously the banker of the festival, Marie Nationale Bolton up in the Supreme. Then Editor de Gite in the Champion Chase, Marie's Rock in the Stayers, and then Conflated in the Gold Cup. For Jamie Wren, we've got Gaelic Warrior in the Bally. We've got Edwardstone in the Champion Chase. Got Marie's Rock in the Stayers, and then Conflated in the Gold Cup. For Scotty, we've got Hermes Alen for Nichols in the Bally. Editor de Gite in the Champion Chase. Marie's Rock in the Stayers, and Conflated again in the Gold Cup. Alex has gone for SHANBALLY KID as his nap of the festival in the Albert Bartlett. Is that right? Albert Bartlett?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Say no more. Edwardstone in the Champion Chase, Marie's Rock in the Stayers, and then Galopin des Champs in the Gold Cup. And Joe McCabe, TEKAO in the Boodles, Editor de Gite in the Champion Chase, TEAHUPOO in the Stayers, and then AHOY SENOR to cap off the jackpot in the Gold Cup.
Yeah, it doesn't sound as good when you hear it back.
That's it. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. It's been nice to have you on for the first time. I'm sure we'll do it again sometime soon. And Jamie, you're coming over to Cheltenham October, November, aren't you? So we're going to have a bit of a party to celebrate.
If I'm left. Can I bring my Man United sheet?
Oh, if you're staying with Scotty. But nice one, guys. Thanks. I do really appreciate it. Alex, Scotty, James, Joe, my usual. Appreciate you all coming on.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll be back real soon. Bye for now.